Okay, cool. All right, so this should be helpful for you in the future. All right, so the first thing we're going to talk about is question number 1. Says this group of, we got Lillian joining us. Thank you, Lillian, for joining. We're just getting started on activity 7.3.1 in biology semester 1. And if you want to go ahead and just let us know you're here, if you want to chime in, go ahead and talk, or you can write in the chat message if that makes you more comfortable. Ooh, we're getting more people. Woohoo! And somebody with an iPhone. Okay, here we go. This group of consumers eats dead material. So which consumer? A consumer is something, an organism that has to eat for its energy. So which one of these is going to eat dead materials? If you want to chime in or on the chat message, either one works for me. Oh, okay, somebody's chiming in, I think. Nobody? Anybody know? Oh, somebody I think is trying to chime in. I think, oh, let me unmute you. I see you. There you go.
Decomposer?
Decomposer, that's right. So decomposers are super important for our environment and our energy because they're going to break down all the dead stuff, which needs to be broken down to release carbon into the atmosphere. So very good. All right. Any questions on number 1? Okay. Let's go back. Let's go to number 2. The base of an energy pyramid where the producers are located is the largest because there are more producers than organisms at any other trophic level, and that is where the most energy is available to sustain them.
True.
Okay, I'm going to start video. Can you guys see me? I'm right here. Hopefully you can see me. Okay, good. I'm going to show you something. I know this is going to be kind of smaller than usual, but hopefully it'll work. So that question is about an energy pyramid. So if you look at an energy pyramid, okay, we have different trophic levels. Okay, down here is where my producers would be located. This is going to be anything like plants or any trees, grass, etc. What do we notice as we go up the level? Do my trophic levels get bigger or smaller?
Yeah, smaller.
They're getting smaller, right? And then some people get confused because as we go up, we go next to our primary consumers, and then we have secondary consumers, and then we have what we call tertiary, which is just third level consumers. So as I go up, let's say we make up a food chain. Let's say we have grass. We're going to do grass at the bottom. And then what eats grass? What's an example of something that eats grass? Any ideas?
Horses.
Horses? Okay, that's a really good one, but we don't want to do that one because there's not too many things that eat horses. So think of something like wild that would eat grass that might be small.
Deer, rabbits.
Rabbits. Let's do rabbits. I like that one. All right, rabbits. Okay. Then what's something that would eat a rabbit?
Would a wolf eat a rabbit?
Yes, it would. Do we have anything maybe a little smaller that might eat a rabbit?
Like a falcon? Like
cool.
a bird?
I like that one. A falcon. A falcon is going to eat a rabbit. And then what could eat a falcon? What about a wolf or something, right?
Right.
Okay, cool. I like that. Great job, you guys. That's teamwork right there. So as we go up our energy pyramid, we notice that my organisms get larger, but there's going to be the most energy in the producers. So I always think about it, number one, it's the biggest part of my trophic level, and there is a lot more grass in the world than there are wolves, right? If you looked outside at your front yard, you couldn't even count the amount of blades of grass, right? But you could count the amount of wolves in a wolf pack. So there's always going to be way more producers than there are going to be consumers. That makes sense? Okay. You should see my screen now again. So our question was, which is the largest is going to be the producers. So that is true. Any questions about number 2? Oop, am I showing you my screen? Hopefully.
Yes.
Okay, cool. All right. Number 3, omnivores eat only plants. Okay. Does anybody, first of all, know what an omnivore is?
An omnivore eats plants and meat.
Plants and meat, you said?
Yeah.
Yes,
So
that is true. So an omnivore is like someone like a human. Okay, we eat, well, unless you're vegetarian, which is okay too, but we eat plants and animals. But can you guys think of anything in the wild that is an omnivore? Anything that eats plants and animals? I know, I'm really making you guys think today. Sorry. What about, oh, someone might be talking. I'm gonna unmute you two. Any of you guys have an idea?
Lions
Lion, so what do lions eat?
eat anything. They eat small animals. They eat plants. They may eat plants. I don't know if they eat plants.
Yeah, I don't think they eat too much of the plants because they might to like settle their stomach. But the one that I think of that's most common is like a bear because
Oh.
bears eat like salmon and then they also eat like berries and stuff
Oh,
too.
true. That's true. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's one I think of most commonly, like a black bear. So that's an example of an omnivore. So those are organisms that eat plants and animals. So our answer to number 3, omnivores eat only plants, that would be false, right? Because they don't eat only plants. All right. An apple is an example of a herbivore, an omnivore, a consumer, or a producer. So when we think about an apple, I always try and come up with the concept. Does it eat food or does it make its own food?
Make its own food.
Makes its own food. So anything that makes its own food is a producer. As compared to like a consumer, I would say if I was a producer, my grocery bill would be so awesome because all I would do is go sit on the roof and make my own sugars, and then I would have no grocery bill because I'd make my own food. Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah.
But unfortunately, we have to go buy our food and consume it for energy. So an apple is a producer. Any questions on that?
No.
No, that one's pretty good. Okay, number 5, humans are blank. We cannot make our own food. That's kind of what I just said. What are we?
We consumers.
We're consumers. We unfortunately have to go to the grocery store or we have to have a garden in order to eat or go hunting to kill our food because we cannot make our own food. It would be really convenient if we could though. Maybe not as fun. All right. Yeah. Number 6, nutrients flow and energy cycles in an ecosystem. True or false?
True.
True. So nutrients do flow. If you think about in our food chain I just kind of made on that energy pyramid, we started with grass and then rabbits and then falcons and then a wolf.
Right.
So as that grass gets eaten by the rabbit and then the rabbit gets eaten by the falcon and then the falcon gets eaten by the wolf, all those nutrients don't just stop at each trophic level. They are going to flow throughout. So those nutrients are going to go up. They're just going, every trophic level you go up, you lose 90% of that energy as heat into the environment. So only about 10% goes up each level. So the wolf actually gets the short end of the stick. They get the least amount of energy from the producers. All right. Number 7, there are always more producers than top level consumers in an ecosystem. True or false?
True.
True. Why? I put you on the spot.
I see.
But you're so good. You can do it.
Well, I'm not that good. Producers, well, they are down at the bottom, and when you go up to the level, it gets smaller and smaller. So it's more producers and consumers.
Yes, absolutely. That is so good. Did you want to add anything? Was it Alana or Ayana?
No.
Okay. Do you understand that the producers have the most amount of organisms?
Yes.
Anybody want to go out there and try and count the amount of blades in their grass? In their yard? In their yard? No, no thanks, right? There's way too many. Okay, number 8. Producers, primary consumers, and secondary consumers are examples of blank levels. We have web, animal, chain, or trophic. I think I've used this word a few times, but
Trophic,
yes, who said that?
Lillian.
Good job, Lillian. I can't see you, but I'm so glad you're here. Okay, yes, these are our trophic levels. So each one of those energy levels I just talked about are going to have, those are what we call our trophic levels. So every time you go up to a new level, you're going up to a different trophic level, and there's less energy as we go up the chain. Did everybody understand those pretty good? You guys are rocking it. I'm impressed. Okay, so when you get to activity 7.3.1 in biology semester 1, you guys better ace it.
Okay.
All right.
No pressure.
Yeah, no pressure, but I'm pretty impressed. So you guys, I expect it's going to be awesome. Okay. So my next part of the session is just a question and answer session. Do any of you guys have any questions? It doesn't have to be about biology semester 1. I can go over anything or science, or if you have any other questions that may not be content related, like about your finals or anything like that. Does anybody have anything they need to ask me?
Yeah.
Anybody?
No.
No. Okay. Anybody else? No. Can you guys see me, or can you just see my screen?
I can see. I just seen your face. I just see the screen.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I have a question then if nobody else has one.
Oh, fantastic.
Just it's kind of like a general question. So like, are there certain topics or concepts that you see are common pitfalls in either class that we should be aware of? Like, when we get to a certain assignment, something we should look out for?
That's a good question.
I know it's really broad.
Yeah, no, that's a really good question. And maybe I need to reflect more on that, because I haven't seen just like one specific topic that most students struggle on. It kind of depends, because some people are like really good at like math based stuff, and they seem to excel like in the DNA part because it's more like a puzzle or math. And then like the assignment we're going.
Problems with the DNA.
Oh wait, who was that?
Lillian, I had horrible problems with the DNA.
Yeah, so sometimes that happens. What were some of your issues with that?
I don't know. I think it was I'm horrible at math. So
Right.
it was like the focusing on, the different, I'm sorry, I'm super sick.
Oh, it's okay.
But just focusing on it and trying to put it all together, I have a lot easier time with like what we just did, the energy flow, abiotic and biotic.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's what I see a lot too, because some people that are more good at like reading and like English-based stuff seem to have a greater grasp on the ecology stuff, which is like kind of what we are going over. Or even if you have like more experience with like outdoors type of stuff, this section seems to be easier for those people too. So it just kind of depends on the person and the learning style, what is easy for you and what is kind of hard, if that answers the question. Okay, does anybody have any other questions? Lillian, as far as what you were just talking about with the DNA, did you end up getting that worked out, or did you want to go over anything that you had some issues with?
I kind of got it worked out. I didn't really understand, like, you had to look at a certain photo and know what kind of cell it was and stuff like that. But the thing, it didn't tell you what kind of cell that was.
Okay, so you're referring to like the first assignment in biology semester 1? Yeah, and you have to look at it. And the hardest part on that one is a lot of students just do the first part of it, which is what type of cell is this? And then they forget the how do you know portion.
Correct. That was
Right.
mine.
So a lot of people say, this is a red blood cell. And then they leave out the how do you know. And then you end up getting like a 50 because you didn't do half of the assignment, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so in the lesson, you guys can see my screen, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna go to that lesson that she's talking about. Let's see. Okay, so it says, what type of tissue is this and how do you know? So if we go to this and we go to form and function, so it's gonna show us these different cells. And I realize these are in black and white, which makes it a little bit harder to figure that out. But they literally are the cells. So like, for example, when we go back, like what type of cell is this? We just saw that one, but this is just a way better 3D colored image than the actual lesson where it's teaching you about it. So like when we saw that nerve cell is right here, if you can see my mouse, and it looks different than what you just saw, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's why that's kind of hard. And you're right, it doesn't tell you a lot about it. A lot of them, like the sperm cell, most of the time when I'm grading those, people just know what sperm looks like, or you just know what a nerve cell looks like. But yeah, that is a good point. Maybe we should put something about that into our curriculum, because it really is kind of hard to differentiate the two. That's a really good
Yeah, for sure. Like me, I already knew what the like red blood cell looked like, or the sperm cell.
Right.
Were like givens. But everything else, I was just like, I did not see anything about this.
Yeah.
But now that I'm seeing these, you know, I kind of understand now. But
Yeah. It just takes some like practice too. It's hard for like most scientists like to, or even students, to differentiate between like an animated 3D image and then like a textbook image. Sometimes like even when I'm showing cells, like if I show a microscopic image versus like an animation of it, they look completely different because one's drawn by an artist and one is like what it would look like under a microscope. So it's kind of confusing sometimes. So that's a good thing to point out, and I'm glad you finally got through it though. That's good. Okay, did anybody else have any other questions?
I have a question.
Okay, is this Ayana?
Yes, it's
Okay.
earth science though.
Okay, cool. Which one?
On the red shift, blue shift, and the waves. One of the red shift, blue shift, it was still. It kept on saying I still was getting it wrong, but when I was from the picture that I was looking at, I was confused.
Okay, so this is the activity you're talking about that I have pulled up?
Yes, I think it's 1.21.
Yep. Okay, so it says, in your own words, explain red shift and blue shift. The hardest part about this one is most people get a 50% because they forget to click this little arrow right here, and there's a second question.
Okay.
So that might be number one, why you got half of it wrong. Is that what you were getting? Were you getting a 50%?
Yeah, because I know that it was saying like a red shift was farther apart and the blue shift was coming closer together or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like the waves are farther apart and the blue shift is like coming together.
Right. Yeah, so you probably just put it right here, and then you forgot to go to number 2, which was right here.
Okay.
And answer the second question, which again, a lot of my students do that, and I try and say, you forgot to answer the second question, but sometimes I forget to add that in there. So yeah, that was probably it. This little arrow down here is kind of hard to see unless you're really looking for it.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Because you're right on what you were saying about the red shift and blue shift. I think you understand the concept.
Yeah, so it must have been was the answering all the questions, but then it say 10 out of 10, but it'll give me 3 questions instead of 10. So I'll be confused on that.
On this specific one?
No, not on this assignment.
Which one?
With this, like in general, it'd be like 10 questions out of 10, and then it'll only be 3 questions.
Okay, so it might just be the assignments worth 10 points. And so
Okay.
like we'll break it down like 10 divided by 3. So it's like a 33 point something, 66 point something, or like 100%. So they divide that by 3. And then that would, so if you answered like 2 out of the 3, you may have gotten like a 66.
Okay, I thought I was missing.
No, that's a good question because it is kind of confusing. Okay, did I answer your question for you? I just want to make sure I did. I don't know if I did.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, cool. So did anybody else have any questions? These are all awesome questions. I'm so excited you guys are asking me things.
Do you do a live session on earth science?
I can. If you want me to do one, I do a live session every 2 weeks. And so
Okay.
if you would like me to do one on earth science, not next Wednesday, but the Wednesday after, sure, let me know and I will do it.
Okay.
Yeah. Also, the one on Thursday is usually focused on earth science. So we have two teachers who both teach earth science and biology. But like, Jenna in this case focuses on bio and can do earth science. And then Amy focuses on earth science and can do bio. So that one is on Thursday at, let me grab the time real quick. It's posted as an announcement on your dashboard too. So that one's at 4 p.m. Eastern time. Same link.
Awesome.
So
Okay.
lots of help here.
Yeah, that's good because Amy, the other teacher, she is like really, really good when it comes to earth science. So that would be an awesome resource.
Yeah, she does cool demonstrations. She did some like earthquake thing for plate tectonics with Kit Kat bars.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's good. She also did like the videos in the actual course that are awesome too. Okay, does anybody have any other questions for me?
No. Let me think.
Okay, I have time for thinking. That's good. Lillian, did you have any others too? Because I heard from you on the DNA and Aon on that, and then my Galaxy tab. You're thinking of questions right now. Did anybody else think of any more while we were talking?
I can't think of any right now.
Okay. And you guys know you're always free to send me a chat message or an email if you ever have any questions.
All right.
And I hope you feel better, Lillian.
Yeah, I know.
Thank you. I'm sorry. I'm so sick.
Oh, that's awful. It sounds like you can't breathe very good. That's like the worst thing when you're like,
Not at all. I went camping and I went swimming in the lake, and then the next day I can't breathe.
ugh, terrible. All right, guys. Well, if that's all, then thank you so much for joining my session. And I hope you join back next Wednesday. And if not, make sure you let me know if you have any questions for me, and I will talk to you then.
Okay.
Okay. You have a good one.